This is a series of presentation on the mantra of life. As you know, we are all living, we're not dead people, we're living people. So mantra means that a process, and the process why we're living, how we to live. And today's topic is discovering inner self. So we are all human beings, and we are not like animals or human beings. We are special to animals. And we have to first find out who are we. We are very much concerned with external self, what we look like, what we do, some job we do, earn money, but we very seldom try to find out who we are actually, who we are actual, we are. So that is the inner self. So we have to find out that what is our inner self. We are very much concerned what you look like, we are old or we are young, beautiful or ugly, we are doing a job, I have to get a job, earn some money, have a house, have a family. In this way, we are very much concerned with the external aspects of ourselves. But we are very seldom, we inquire about who we are, what the inner quest is. So therefore today, we'll try to find out what is our inner self. So if you're interested, then you'll find it very interesting, this presentation today. So today please see this, you can see the screen. So discover inner self. It's our eternal truth that can change our vision. So now discovering inner self. As you see, the old young boy and became an old man or old boy. So this is how our life is changing. Then we can see that how just like a car is driven by a driver, similarly a soul drives the so therefore you see here, matter is dead, but the soul is conscious. Thus soul is superior to matter. So matter and soul is different. Matter is inert. It doesn't have any conscious. But we are conscious beings. So that means we are something more than the body. The body is compared to a car, and the driver of a car is compared to the soul of the body. So therefore, without a driver, the car has no purpose. It may have a purpose, but become latent. The purpose is latent. But as soon as driver comes into car, the latent purpose of the car becomes accelerated. Actually, it happens. So same way, the body is dead. But as soon as the Atma is there, the body is activated. And when Atma goes, we see the body is gone. So we'll talk about it a bit later on. So then you can see that why we should study about the soul. So what benefit we'll get to study about the soul? Mainly in the college and university teaches us technology. We can learn technology to get a job, to make a better living, how to use nature in a way to improve our living standard. So then people say in this college, why? How the studying the soul will help us. So here if you see the Bhagavad Gita, so as you all know, the Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna to Arjuna. So at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, when it began, Arjuna was perplexed. He didn't want to fight. He said, what's the point of fighting? I'll fight with my own teacher, guru, my own grandfather, my own relations. So why fight? I don't want a kingdom tinged with blood. So I don't want to fight. He's very perplexed. So then later on, Krishna, so in this situation, the whole body is trembling of Arjuna. His hair is standing on end. And his Gandiva slipped from his hand. His skin is burning. So then we see, see that Krishna, before he spoke, Arjuna had lack of confidence. What Sloka spoke late previously, it shows that he has lack of confidence, his anxiety, demoralized, stressed, and depressed. This is a situation most of us feel many times in a day. So then after Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna emerged very victorious. He was very positive, he's full of action, and is fully dedicated to the battle. Where before he was perplexed, he didn't want to fight, he didn't want a kingdom. And after he heard the Bhagavad Gita, he was very much energized, very much anxious to fulfill the request of Krishna. So how this happened? Why? He heard the knowledge of his soul from Bhagavad Gita. So before, he was not conversant with the knowledge, with the science of his soul, or who we actually are. But after he heard from Bhagavad Gita, from Krishna, Arjuna became very conversant with the science of his soul. So therefore now we try to find out from different aspects what information Krishna gave to Arjuna related to the body, related to the Atma, related to nature, related to time, related to karma. So therefore we'll see that. So first is, am I matter or am I spirit? The first we have to analyze, are we matter, are we spirit? That is the first ABC of spiritual life. The second point was that the scientific proof for existence of the spirit soul. So if the spirit soul is there, in the first question, am I matter or am I spirit? If I come to the conclusion that I'm the spirit, that means I'm the soul, is there any proof, scientific proof of the soul? So that we will discuss today also. Next is the difference between a living person and a robot. So many people say, well, we don't have soul, we're just like a machine, we're just like a very complicated, complex robot. So what's the difference between living person and robot? That also we'll study today, discuss. And next is the main part of us which is involved in interacting with nature and with ourselves. How we interact with the environment, that means people, nature, situation. So the mechanism of the mind is involved in interacting our inner self with the external nature. So we'll discuss the mechanism of the mind. And the last of all, we'll discuss the practical benefit of knowledge of the soul in everyday life. So if you know the knowledge of the soul, how will it benefit me in my life, day-to-day life? Because we do not do anything unless we know the purpose. We may do it. If I don't know the purpose, I'll not have utsaha, enthusiasm to do the activity. So therefore, I must know, having the knowledge of the soul, how it will help me in my day-to-day life. So these are the 5 subtopics of this presentation today. First, I am the matter and not I am soul. Am I matter or am I soul? So if I ask you, who are you? You answer, well, this is my name. But are you the name? If you can make affidavit in a court tomorrow's to a Sunday, tomorrow's Monday, make affidavit, and you can change your name to Sachin Tendulkar. Your name is changed. You make a newspaper advertisement. In TV, you give ad that I'm such and such, so change my name. The name is changed. Are we the same person? Yes, same person. The name is different. So that means we are not a name. You say, well, I'm a human being. Okay, I'm a man or a lady. I'm Indian or Chinese. But if you say man, you can have a change. Nowadays you can have change your gender. A man can become a female. So if you say, then we are not the body. So we are something more than the body. So then you can say, one professor, he was from the professor of anatomy, Illinois College of Medicine. What he did a analysis and he found out that human body is mostly water. About over 70% of our body is water. And the balance, the average man, 60 pounds, we have different chemicals, like 5 pounds of calcium, 1.5 pound of phosphate, 9 ounces of potassium, 6 ounces each of sulfur and sodium, 1 ounce of magnesium, less than one ounce each of iron, copper, etc. So therefore, if you break down who we are all these chemicals combined in a complex way. And what is the value of these chemicals? At the time, it was 110 rupees. So we are worth 110 rupees in this way. Are we worth 110 rupees? Suppose, so then, suppose you have a car, Mercedes-Benz you have. In Mercedes-Benz, you go out with a friend. Suppose you have accident. Now Mercedes-Benz will cost somewhere around 30-40 lakhs. You have accident. Car is broken down, you must repair it. And your friend is also have accident. He's also injured. So now your choice is, do I take the car to the garage immediately, get it repaired, or do I take my friend to the hospital, get him treated? My friend is worth 110 rupees, all the chemicals put together. The car is worth 30 to 40 lakhs rupees. So what will you do? You take your car to the garage or take your friend to the hospital? Friend to the hospital. So why? He's only worth 110 rupees. So we see a man is worth more than his physical self. The physical self is not so valuable. So therefore we should see that what is more valuable than the chemicals in the body. So now we see so don't you feel we are more than the chemicals which constitute this body? Then what is our real identity? So if we are more than the chemicals in the body, then who are we? What is the real identity? Like you say, this is my hand, this is my head, this is my ear. So you say my head, my hand. I've done this with my intelligence. It's my intelligence. With my intelligence, with my hand, my body. So if this all belongs to me, then who am I? That means I am more than this hand. I'm more than the intelligence. Intelligence belongs to me. I'm more than my mind. By my mind, I'm doing this. It's my mind. So I'm more than the mind. So what is my real identity? So I'll give you one more slide and show you. So this very famous actress, she was a famous actress. After some time, she died. So when she was living, she would insure her body, each limb, for crore rupees. But you find that once she died, no insurance will do insurance to her body. She's no value. She'll be burned. She'll be taken to graveyard and she'll be burned. Even a husband, if she is married, her own husband will be frightened to stay with her once she's dead. As soon as possible, they'll try to take her to the cremation ground and get her burned. But when she's living, we'll spend all the money to be with her. But once she's dead, we'll take all precautions as soon as possible to take her to the graveyard and have her cremated. What's the difference between her living and a dead? Same body, same hand, same eyes, same chemicals. So what's the difference? The difference is that she was, when she's living, she was conscious. And when she's dead, she's not conscious. So that means we are more interested, we're more attracted to the conscious than the body. Unfortunately, we don't think of these things. When you're living, we have many attributes, but once you die, those attributes are gone. When living, when you die, we have no feelings, we cannot think, we have no desires, no movement, and no consciousness. So therefore, the body is same, but the soul is gone. So therefore, we must conclude that we are actually attracted to the living being within that body, not the body. But we are in the illusion that we are attracted to the physical body of someone. But when we analyze the situation, actually we are more attracted towards the conscious being in that body. And when the conscious being is gone, we are no more attracted. So then we see that Arjuna says, for the soul, Krishna says, for the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. So Krishna explained that when you were perplexed, when someone died, you worried. But Krishna says, no, for soul is not death, no birth. It's eternal. So this is what Krishna explained to Arjuna. Arjuna is worried. Why should I fight? I'll kill my own relations, my own teacher, my grandfather. But Krishna says, you are not the body. Then he explains that beyond the body is the soul. And the soul is most important aspect of the body. In soul and the body, there's a difference. So difference you'll find that the body is matter. A soul is spirit. Difference is matter, it transmutes always, transforms all the time. But the soul doesn't transform. It's permanent, it's eternal. Then the body has no consciousness. But soul is conscious. Just like, and then the body changes. There are 6 changes of the body. Any living entity has 6 changes within the lifespan. So that we'll discuss a bit later on. But for soul, there's no change. It's static. Then the body is temporary. It's here today, gone tomorrow. But soul is eternal. And body, in time, it dies. The soul is always alive. So then if you see that you are not the body, that you see in the mirror. In fact, what you see in the mirror, we see this is me, myself, hands, this is my eyes, this is my nose, but this is not what we actually see. In fact, we are a spirit soul which is residing in the region of the heart. And just like the driver is driving the car, same way the spirit soul within the region which resides within the regional heart, it drives the living person, just like a body. So from a material viewpoint, we are bodies made up of matter. So we are various type of bodies we have, and it's all made of matter, earth. But then we see we are no more than the chemical bundle. So that means we are just our body consists of many varieties of chemicals. Everything's finished at the time of death. So when you die, everything goes. Nothing exists. But we see that there is something. There's a spirit soul. The spirit soul is within the regional heart of every animal. So where the heart is, so the spirit soul resides there. You may say a tree has no heart. So where the soul remains in the tree or the plant. So tree or plant, the taproot is a region where the soul remains. So we do not die when material body stops to function. So this soul is eternal, as you said. So once we die, the soul transmigrates into another body. So therefore, we are like, just as a bird is trapped in a cage, the soul is trapped in the body, made up of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. So therefore, just like a bird is kept in a cage, it cannot come out. Similarly, we are encaged within this physical body due to our desires we had previously. In order to fulfill our desires, we have been given a certain physical body, and we are constrained within this body, and we identify with this body all the time. Just like a gloves has no life. Once you put gloves in the hand, as you move your hand, the gloves moves. It appears the glove is living. Action is there with the gloves. As soon as you remove the gloves from hand, the gloves will remain just like this. No activity. Same way, as long as soul is there, we have activity. And the soul is within this, is confined within this body. So not knowing their real identity as a soul, the people spend all their life in polishing the cage, pampering the body without feeding the soul. Can we say how? See, so when we are living just like a bird in a cage, if you don't take care of the bird inside the cage, you just polish the cage nicely, dust it nicely, everything you do, but the bird will die. You neglected the bird. Same way, modern colleges, schools, universities, education system teaches us how to look after the body, how to take care of the body. Basically, body has 4 needs: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So we are trained how to sleep nicely, make nice house, nice arrangement, how to eat nicely, how to sleep at night nicely, have a nice house, and how to reproduce. So most of the information that is taught in universities and schools and colleges is related to eating, sleeping, mating, defending. That means how to keep the cage polished nicely, the body nicely. But it does not talk about how to give food, feed the soul, or take care of the soul. So therefore, Now we'll talk about, which you talk the scientific self. So we talked about the I'm matter, or am I matter, am I spirit, that we discussed. Now next point we'll talk about the scientific proof for existence of a spirit soul. So here is scientific proof for existence of spirit soul. We can have the 4 part. One is common sense. Second, about consciousness, we can study consciousness, near-death experience, and out-of-body experience, and reincarnation research. So these are the 4, as we can divide into 4 parts, and we can scientifically see how these points that there is a soul. There's something more than the body. So common sense, we see when someone dies, we say that when a person dies, we say he or she has gone. Who's gone? Same hand, same legs, everything same. Same person is there. But actually what happens? The soul passes away. The soul goes. Person, everything same soul. That means we don't have consciousness. Then, so now we come to consciousness. There is common sense we discussed previously, common sense. When someone dies, we analyze the situation and we see that only difference dead and living is consciousness. So because he's dead, is no consciousness, so we say he's dead. That means consciousness is very important aspect. So now consciousness is like being aware that you exist, that I exist. I can interact with my nature. So if you take example, you have a camera, so then you can see, the camera can see red light. But because camera is dead matter, it's not conscious, but it will give signal that red light is seen. But when a man walks by, he will think of many conscious, he'll do many things. When he's young, we should go this way. The memories come to mind, how they used to go, what experience they have. So that means they are conscious. They can relate their situation to many different aspects. But the camera will only relate with this red light. There's a tree, it'll take photograph of the trees, but it will not do anything more. So near-death experience, there are many incidences, especially in your medical journals, which says that 11 to 14% of the average American population who are mentally and physically healthy have had near-death experience. Sorry, out-of-body experience. So therefore, there's a thing called out-of-body experience, who are about to die. They're nearly dead clinically. The heart is stopped. Their brain waves stop. So we say it's clinically dead. So that time, that person sometime comes out of the body and will talk about how the doctor tried to revive him, how his relations were nearby, what discussions the relations had, what talks they had, what activity doctors did to revive him. He can tell in full detail. So this is known as out-of-body experience. They did another experiment. Some people are very expert in this out-of-death experience, out-of-body experience. They did an experiment where a man was lying in the bed, and in the room floor above him, they put some objects, some round objects, some square, some oblong objects. So different objects were placed. And that person was told, you go out from your body, you go upstairs and see what is there, you come back and draw. And he was able to go, he's lying in the bed, but his subtle body was able to go outside his body, physical body, go upstairs, next floor, and observe what was there, and then come down and draw the objects which he saw was upstairs. And it was identical to what it was upstairs. But there are many incidents like this. I said in America, there are 11 to 14% of the average people, they have this out-of-body experience. Especially it happens during operations, during sickness, during we are not very healthy, sick, or someone had a car accident and is revived by the doctors, and he would give experience when he was so-called dead, clinically dead, so-called. So what activities doctor did, what his friends talked about, what friends did. So this is known as the near-death experience. There is enough research in near-death experience also with incapable scientific credentials. So therefore, like many of your friends may know about these experiences. So in fact, I also had some friends with this type of experience. One of a friend called John Hopkins was in London. Said one time he did the operation, and somehow in the operation he was clinically dead. Doctor took about 3 minutes to revive him. Then he would explain later on how the doctor revived him, what strategy they used. Then also they talked about what my friends' relations who were outside the operation theater, what they discussed, what they did, to explain full detail. And later on when he came back live, when he explained this, they said, yes, it's true. We did discuss these things. We did do this. Yes, the doctor did like this, like that. So like that, this is my own personal experience of the situation. So therefore, so now there are many books which are available in market, which talks about out-of-body experience. Many books are there, written by many well-known scientists, and they've done many research. And the incidences where there's one girl who was in Australia. She could speak in a strange language, no one knew. Finally, they brought a linguistic person who is expert in many ancient languages, and he said this language is an ancient language of France, Normandy language, in Normandy. So they brought an expert professor from France, and she spoke in that language and he could understand. She explained, I was a person living in France, in such a village I was. I was living in France in a village, and I had this type of place, this house I had. The windows were left, the doors were this side. In the west there's a door, in the east there's a door, windows here, there. And then there's a part in eastern side, the part leading to outside. So they went to Normandy, France, and they found out, yes, in that village there's a ruin of house. Windows you cannot trace because the walls are gone. The plinth was there. And then they found, yes, as you said, there's a door in the east, there's a door in the east. In the plinth, there's a gap in the door. That they substantiate. And then they said the east, there's a road, small road. And they found in the forest, but in the part in the road where trees are much younger. And the others, the trees much older. That means there must be a part, and the trees grew later on when this house broke down. No one's using it. Then new trees grew there. the path. So like that, they found out, yes, what she said is true. It exists, the house. So there are many, many incidents like this. Many. So this is one professor. There's another reincarnation research. Ian Stevenson, he's a Carl's professor of psychiatry, University of Virginia, has extensively investigated over 3,000 cases of spontaneous reincarnation memories. So why he word use spontaneous? That means some people under the hypnosis, technique of hypnosis called regression. Under regression, they could experience and talk about the past life. But here he studied about people who are conscious. Spontaneously they can remember what they did in last lifetime. Spontaneously. Just I had my own example, my own uncle was there in Assam. So he heard a girl in nearby village. She's 5 years old. She can speak fluent Hindi. But in that village, no one speaks Hindi, but she can speak Hindi. There's no movie hall. A 5-year-old girl. He went there to find out. And she explained, I was in Bombay. I stayed in Bombay here. This is a line. This is the milestones of Bombay. So what he did so, but my uncle was in Bombay also studying for 3 years. So whatever she said, it's matched. She never went to any seen movie, never read any Hindi in school. 5 years old girl, how much she can read? Like fluent Hindi, and she can give me perfect description of Bombay. That she must be there. That's her own experience. So therefore, there are many books on reincarnation also there. Many research have been done on reincarnations. You can search Google and find out. So also, Dr. Stevenson, he related, we all have phobias, most have phobias. So he related phobias to the way we died in the last lifetime. Phobias are related to the mode of death of the person whose life is being remembered. So whatever way we died in last lifetime, previous lifetime, so if we died by fire, so we have phobia for fire in this lifetime. So a lady who had phobia of water. So then when he did research, he found out that lady remember that she died in water, he drowned in death. So she had phobia of water. So then also, if a previous life ended by stabbing, there would be a phobia of blade weapon. Someone who was killed by knife, so they'll get phobia of knives and blades. Similar way, someone who was killed previously by a gun, so he had phobia of arms. So now, very interesting thing. So we say that we are the Atma. Okay, we're not the body. People say, many scientists try to say, we are what we are carrying in our genetic material. We are, the DNA is a blueprint of our whole body. Our behavior, our physical body, our thought process is related to the DNA. But is it so? So let us see. Two boys are born. And we know that when you're born, a twin is born, same zygote is there, one egg, zygote. And that zygote splits into two. And then each zygote develops into two different person. That means identical genetic material, identical. Even though identical twins are physically born by the splitting of a single egg from the same genetic material, they may have striking contrast in temperament. The difference in temperament is because of the two different souls. reincarnated in two different bodies that are genetically identical. So we see that the person, same genetical matter, genes, but the temperament is different. The reaction to situations, this stimulus is different. The desires are different. Why? Because they are two different persons.
They have the same name.
They are born with two different atmas. And each atma has similar karma, but not identical. Because no two living entity can be identical. So if it's identical twin, they are not identical. In physical aspect, identical, but mental aspect, they're not identical. Why? They're two different atma, two different living entities. So they have different likes and dislikes. So this shows that we are not only genetics. We're not only made by genes. Same genes may be there in both of them, but different genes come in action at different times of the person. So now we'll give you an example. In a small picture I'll show you. This is from the Discovery Channel. Discovery Channel have a lot of scientific research they do, and they present very authentic things. So here is a small boy who remembers of his previous life, but the boy cannot explain that it is previous life. But later on they find out. So let us see this movie, then we can discuss. Huh? Please listen very carefully. Huh? This is from a Discover Yourself. It's from a news channel, in TV. Some technical problem. This is a problem with technical things. Sometimes it doesn't work. So I'll explain the gist of the movie. A small boy, he was born in America. He talks, when he sleeps at night, he carries a small toy with him, toy boy, a GI, that means an American soldier. And he talks about his name being Steve. So he talks about, I'm a Steve. He talks about war, flying aircrafts. And many things he spoke is not very clear. So later on they found out that when they did some psychological analysis, that he's talking about incidences which happened this previous life. So that then they found out he was involved in a certain war. In a certain war where a aircraft carrier was involved and he was a fighter pilot. And they found out his name. Yes, in that aircraft, there was a person by Steve. But he died in a plane crash. His engine bursted after being fired by enemy aircraft, and he went in the ship in the ocean and died. And they had a reunion of all the living soldiers, naval personnel in the aircraft carrier. And when they met together, and they also remember, yes, there is a person called Steve. And then, yes, he did die. And they could recall many things. And they try to correlate the things that small boys remembering. At that time, boy could not speak much. So mother asked him to make drawings of what he saw, what dreams he used to have. At night, it's a nightmare sometimes. Please draw what you saw. Please draw aircrafts, aircraft in fire, aircraft going in the water, many things. And then they correlated. Yes, this thing did happen. And they found out that yes, this boy, he remembers so much things about this Steve the pilot, and it is correlating with his colleagues. So they come conclusion that he must have been the pilot reborn, Steve the pilot reborn as this small boy. So this movie was not working next time. So another things he did research in a girl called Shukla Gupta. She remembered her past life. She remembered that Shukla was a little more than 5 years, 5 years old. Sri Sen Gupta and 5 other members of his family journeyed with her to Bhatpara. When they arrived, Shukla took the lead, avoiding various possible wrong turns. She brought them straight to the house of Amital Chakrabarti, who was a father-in-law in a past life. So the girl, only 5-year-old, remember, 5-year-old girl, took the whole group to a village, nearby village. And she, every time she took a correct turn, she did not take any left, any wrong turn. And he brought them right to the village. And she recognized her previous lifetime house. So this was my house previously. Her mother-in-law, brother-in-law, husband, daughter. So she died prematurely. So she said, this was my mother-in-law, father-in-law, this is my husband, this is my daughter. Indicating that Sri Haridhan Chakrabarti was her husband. So she identified, this is my husband. The nickname as well as the real name of her brother-in-law. So it's in this way she could remember very nicely. And also she said that upstairs is a trunk where I kept my one blue sari and one yellow sari is there. So then they went upstairs. Oh yes, there was a trunk. Open the trunk. This red and blue sari was there. So like that, she identified many items as if she had been there. And they did find those items as per her description. So this is a real story. So there are many famous people who also, like Benjamin Franklin, finding myself to exist in the world. I believe I shall in some shape or other always exist. So Benjamin Franklin, who's invented the printing press, so he also believed reincarnation. He said, I will always exist in some form or other. I'll exist in this world. So another famous person, John Adams. Those souls who revolted against God were placed here to transmigrate to various species of animals, birds, reptiles, etc. So according to Sanatana Dharma, because of our ego, ahankar, false ego, that why should I serve God? So when that thought comes, we are sent here to his world for reformation. So there's a saying, when we revolt against God, we're placed here and we transmigrate to various species, animals, birds, reptiles. But he doesn't go into detail, but at this amount he is accepted. Then the famous Socrates, I'm confident that there truly is such a thing as living again, and the living springs from death. So when he spoke this, Socrates had certain beliefs, especially of reincarnation. So therefore the king told him, or the main head of the country, I forget what head of the country was, that if you believe in reincarnation, that you never die. If you die, you are reborn again. So you drink this poison, Hamlet called Hamlet. You drink this poison and you prove that you should not be worried. You'll again live again. You can reborn again. So you drink poison, you die. So to prove his theory that yes, I am ardent believer of reincarnation, he drank that poison. And that time he spoke this. I am confident that there truly is such a thing as living again. And the living springs from death. I'll die now, and then I'll come back to life again in a different body. So like this, many people in the past were able to have beliefs in reincarnation. Reincarnation is not just something of Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma. Reincarnation is there in nearly all the world religion. But it may not be in detail, but it is there, in seed form. And also we see that many of the famous people in the past, in the Western countries also, believed in some form of reincarnation, death, life after death. So therefore we discussed about the scientific proof of the existence of the spirit soul. So now, difference between living person and a robot. Difference between living person and a robot. Is man not just a powerful computer or robot? So many people say that man is just like a robot, a very complicated robot. So suppose a drama is being done, the drama is recorded by a camera, and drama is observed by a judge. So what the camera will do? Camera will record. There's a man, it's raining, and then someone's crying. But the judge will think more things. He's an experience. In the lens, the camera has no emotion. But when judge sees a movie, he'll have sadness, sorrow, anger, elation. And the camera has no conscious. But this judge will be conscious. And then the camera cannot judge. But the judges will be able to judge the situation. So once a person asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, I think our body just a complex machine that gets worn out and crashes. Why should we bother about some soul powering this body? You understand? The man is saying we're just like a bunch of chemical. We are machine, complex machine. Sometimes the machine breaks down, finish, gone. Like a computer crashes, we crash, finish, gone. Get a new one. So then Prabhupada replies, does your car or a computer grow like we grow in time? So does your computer or a car, it grows in time? Do you have male, female cars that can unite and produce a baby car? So human beings can reproduce. Can any machine reproduce themselves? A living body undergoes 6 changes as spoke previously. Each living entity have 6 changes within a lifetime. It is the soul that makes a living body alive. So we have something in the body, inside the body, which is known as soul, that makes us conscious. So by the way, if you have any questions, you can put in chat box, and after this presentation is over, we'll try to answer some of those questions. So we'll just continue. So then now, so 3 major differences between a living body and robot. Living body undergoes 6 changes, while matter only dwindles. So living body, 6 changes we go through, and then we may die. We will die, not may, we will die. But matter just dwindles. A male and female living body can multiply similarly, species. Machine cannot reproduce by union. So human beings or any living entity can reproduce itself, which is similar species. But Machines, robots cannot replicate itself. And living body has conscious. We are conscious, we're feeling, we're thinking, feeling, willing, while matter has no conscious. So these are the three basic difference between matter and spirit. So matter and spirit. So we see that the 6 changes we go through. So at first we birth, we born, then we grow, then we maintain ourselves, and then we slowly produce products of byproducts, we have children, and then we dwindle in time, and then finally we die. So these are the 6 changes: birth, growth, maintenance, production of byproducts, and dwindling, and we die. So this is what happens. So the next is that mechanism of mind. This is very interesting. So we meant to end at 6 o'clock, but if you permit, we can continue a bit more. Shall I continue more or shall I stop here? So I'll continue slightly more, maybe 15, 20 minutes now. So this is a very, very interesting aspect. The mechanism of mind. As I said previously, we interact, the interface between us, our inner self, and this nature around us is the mind. Mind is the major factor which helps us to interact with our inner self and the external self. The mechanism of, when we study the mechanism of the mind. So the soul is covered by gross and subtle covering. The soul has basic 2 coverings. One is the gross body which we see around us, and next is subtle body. So the gross body and then the soul. So 3, we are soul ourselves. It is covered by subtle body, and then that is covered by gross body. So the soul is made of 3 elements. It's known as Chat, Chit, Anand. Chat means eternity, Chit means knowledge, and Anand means bliss. These are 3 components of the soul, or 3 elements of the soul. And then next is subtle. So next is subtle body. The subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. So if the soul is made of Satchit Anand, then the subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. Then there's a gross body. The gross body made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Water means, the earth means the solid part of the body. Water means the liquid parts of the body. Fire means the fire digestion. And then air is what we have, air in the body. And ether means space, void, sound. So ether is space. So now, as you said, the subtle body consists of mind, intelligence, false ego. So what is intelligence? Intelligence is a decision maker. Intelligence helps to decide what we should do, what we should not do. And the mind, what is mind? Mind is storehouse of thoughts, unfulfilled desires, and previous experience. So mind is like a hardware, where in the hardware you have software, which you do the work in computer software. So therefore, in the mind, we have certain software stored with us. What are the software? They are the thought process, thought. Many desires we have not fulfilled. Those desires are there. And many is a warehouse of previous experience also. Just like we see a gulab jamun. the mind will tell us, well, gulab jamuns are very sweet, delicious. We should taste it. So the decision maker intelligence say, well, the gulab jamun is, the mind is saying sweet, is very delicious. The mind will intelligently decide, yes, let's take it gulab jamun, put in the mouth. So this is how, and then how does mind get the information? The mind acquires information by the 5 working senses. It gives sense acquiring senses: the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. The 5 senses which brings in information from external to internal. And the 5 senses are compared to the chariot. These are the 5 horses. The 5 horses, so the 5 horses represent 5 senses. And then the horses are linked to the intelligence by the mind. And the mind is linked by mind to intelligence. And intelligence is carrying the soul. So here, if we do not control the 5 senses with the mind, then the 5 horses will go 5 different directions. And the chariot will not go to where will not go to destination. So the 5 senses is controlled by the mind, and the mind will be controlled by intelligence. Then we'll be able to go to a destination. So most of us, we have very uncontrolled senses. We want to see something nice, hear something nice, speak something nice, taste something nice. So like that, our 5 senses going 5 different directions, and we cannot get to a destination. So here we need the mind to link the 5 senses and intelligent guide the mind how the 5 senses has to be controlled. Then we can go to our destination. So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, for him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. So if we can control the mind is the best of friend. And if you cannot control mind, the greatest enemy. In fact, we don't have enemy outside us. The main enemy is within ourselves, our mind. He controlled the mind, Arjun. Because he did not have control of mind, he was perplexed in the beginning, as you saw, what to do. His body was trembling, his skin was burning, he could not talk properly. So when he heard the Bhagavad Gita, the information about the mind, intelligence, the soul, then he became completely okay. And he was very controlled. So now, so the chariot, if it's uncontrolled, the controlled mind, you can go to where you want to go. Uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy. So we must try to control the mind. The mind is compared to a knife. Can the mind be controlled? So now the question is, can we control the mind? So now we see the mind is compared to the knife. Is knife good or bad? Knife can be good or bad. It depends. A knife, a surgeon can use a knife to save a person. Same thing, a murderer, he will use the same knife to kill someone. Knife itself not bad. How knife is utilized. Same way the mind is not bad. It can be how the intelligence utilize the mind will depend what act will do. So therefore one thing as GIGO principle. So garbage in and garbage out. Garbage in. So whatever comes into the mind, that will go out. So good things come in and good things go out. If bad things come in, bad things go out. If garbage come in, then garbage go out. So now what we bring in the mind? We read good books, scriptures. We watch proper movies. Then we watch proper music, hear proper music, and with proper friends. These 4 activities will help us to form proper habits, proper mentality. If you read movies, if you see bad movies, violent movies all the time, so we'll develop violent nature. If you have good friends all the time, nice friends, we associate nice friends, we become good person also. If we hear good music, we can be good. If we have very hard rock, 100, 200 decibel, it will be a problem for us. So therefore, we can develop our mind like smoking habits. Mind feels very good. I am an engineer. I should know how to hold a cigarette at least. So sometimes we feel I'm such a nice person, I'm an engineer. It's very cool. Smoking makes me feel cool. So he's feeling that I'm smoking cigarette, I feel very nice. Why? Cigarette has got nicotine. Nicotine is stimulant. So when it stimulates your senses, you forget what is hot or cold outside, just feel relaxed. But who is intelligent person say no. But that's a bad habit, not good for me, not good for you. So your parents would like to see you do this. You may become addicted to it. Don't get into wrong track. Therefore, a mind is not controlled. Will just take cigarette and feel this is very nice. I feel very cool because nicotine is there. So the intelligence, yes, I'll feel cool, but it'll be harmful to me. It'll be detrimental to me in long term. So I should avoid this situation. So intelligence come in. So therefore, this is the rough mechanism of mind. So next is the practical benefit of knowledge of the soul in every life. So now, do all these 4 activities to control the mind, and to know that what is living in a robot, difference between living in a robot. What is it? Then we have a soul, we have spirit, not just matter. The body is matter, I'm a spirit soul. So if we spend time in this acquiring knowledge, what benefit we have? If you don't know the benefit, you will not be enthusiastic to do something. So practical benefit of knowing of soul in everyday life. So first is that we develop universal brotherhood. That means we feel that we all relate to each other. Normally what divides us? Sometimes we feel we're Hindus, we're Muslims, we're Christians, we are Jewish, and we try to fight amongst each other. So that divides us. We are blacks or whites or Chinese, or we are Chinese or we're Indian, we fight against each other. We rich, poor, we fight versus. Educated, illiterate. I'm educated, I'm more superior. She is a labor, illiterate. She's inferior to me. So this divides people. But when someone's beautiful or ugly, so these things divides people. Why? We're bodily conscious. We're thinking of our body. But then we think that we are Europeans, we're Chinese, we're white, we're black. But we see that in the temples, people from different community, we all going to get a kirtan, not considering we have which country, which place. We are the spirit soul. We are all related to each other because we have a common father. So sometime back, so here we see people are walking, people from all walks of life coming together for a higher cause, knowing that we are not these superficial bodies, but spirit soul, like the driver in different form from the car. So therefore, once you realize with the soul, we're not the body, then we try to identify amongst each other that we are all related. Our body is different, we have different cars, but we are the living person, the driver. So therefore, now, is one aspect of it creates brotherhood of knowledge of spirit, creates a feeling that we are all related to each other. We are all brothers. Why? We have a common father. So then we see it also next thing is raising above inferiority complex. So we all have inferiority complex. Many of us have. Why is that? I am a black, short, ugly. Will anybody look at me? I hardly get a good rank. I have no talent in sports. I come from a poor family. I don't know whether I will earn my degree and pass out of the college. Life doesn't seem worth living because I'm not like any of the great heroes. So when you identify with the body, our bodily attributes, because we all don't have good, all of us have some problems. We're not perfect. We are all born with some imperfections. So therefore, when you're body conscious, you're very much conscious of imperfections, and we get depressed. But if you are this same black person who's saying that I'm not this body, but a pure soul with abundant potential, that means I have a lot of latent potential in me. My defects are superficial, appearing in the body, but not a part of happy and healthy soul. That means what are problems I'm having? If I'm spiritually perfect, these problems go away. But because not spiritually perfect, I'm exhibiting these problems. My heart is full of love, joy, serenity, compassion for others. So then I realize that I'm a perfect soul, or when I become a perfect soul, so I have love for everyone because we all relate to each other. I'm very serene in my life. I compassion for others. So this is when you are soul conscious. And when you're depressed, that means you are body conscious. So next is that positive outlook and attitude to life. So if you are spiritual, if you're not spiritual, what happens? If you don't know about Atma, you only think about body. Everybody is selfish. Just see how he is not cooperating with me. I feel lonely and cornered. I think I also should learn to become selfish, harsh, and arrogant to survive and grow in life. Then I will show others who I am. So this is what I also used to feel when I was in college. How I can, if I'm very honest, very sincere, people take advantage of me. I must become very cunning. I must become very shrewd. Then I can show myself. I can outwit my friends. So this happens. So then no wisdom that everyone is original, a part and parcel of Supreme. But now we are covered up. So because this feeling happens, because we do not know that we are the soul and we are part of the original creator, God, but our original consciousness that we're perfect being has been covered over. But then when we have a positive attitude, a spiritual attitude, we'll feel, instead of blaming my friends for not being cooperative, let me learn to help him and be more kind and courteous with him. Then hopefully he'll change. Unless I set a good example, what's the point demanding the same from others? So if I blame others and I try to become like them, then how can I show a good example? So let me become more tolerant. Let me become more patient. Considering everyone to be potentially good. So we should see if someone doesn't have the good in them, we must see that potentially they have good. The good is latent within them. It has to be brought out. So if I'm good with him, in time he'll become good with me and everyone. So next is right use of resources. So now something. So $100 million question. I put $100 million in a Swiss bank account so that even my sons cannot touch my money. Now whether I'm behind bars or moving around in a car, I have no worries. It's all my money. Ha ha ha. See, this is true. See, in fact, there was a famous politician who kept so much money in Swiss bank. In case his son may take away the money, someone may take away. He kept Swiss bank. No one knows about it. So ultimately, when he came home once, his own son made a case against him, and he went to jail. Being in a jail is happy, but I'm in jail doesn't matter. But money is Swiss bank. My son cannot take my money. So he's satisfied that I have money. Even I'm in the bank, doesn't matter. My money is there in the Swiss bank, safe. This is mentality. And then the opposite person who's been religious, look at the cows. They are suffering without food. Let me arrange some grass for her. Every living being is like my brother and sister. Every creature deserves to live. If I can preach to a few rich men of my country, I can teach them the culture of sharing all resources of the supreme intelligence amongst all his creations. Then there will be poverty. There will be no poverty in a country. So therefore, if I become religious, I understand I'm a soul. We all relate to each other. Then we can help others to develop this nature. We don't become selfish like this businessman or politician. So therefore, help us a lot to get knowledge. The summary of today's presentation. First, we studied, am I matter or am I spirit? That we discussed first. Then our body is worth, this is the last slide, huh? Our body is worth 110 rupees. Then discuss body versus soul. Discuss material versus spiritual viewpoint. So what we have material viewpoint and spiritual viewpoint, how we benefit with spiritual viewpoint. And we talked about unseen driver of the bodily car. So that means we are the spirit soul. We cannot see, but this is the driving, animating factor of the body. Then talked about the scientific proof for existence of spirit soul. We talked about common sense. Like when by common sense we can see, we can understand we are the soul, not the body. So we talked about when someone dies, passes away, we say he or she is gone. What's gone? His soul is gone, consciousness is gone, same body is there. So by common sense you can see that we are something more than the body. They talked about consciousness, camera versus living person. So camera, a camera can observe a situation, and then a living person observe. A living person have feeling, emotions, but camera will not feel, only record, not conscious. Then talk near death and out of body experience, how when you die, about to die and come back to life with certain experiences. Then out of body experience during operation, we are clinically dead, but then we come back to life. So when we are clinically dead, we remember the situations, what happened, what doctor did, my friends outside discussed what they did. Then it's near-death experience, out of body experience. They talked about reincarnation study, how over one professor studied 3,000 cases of reincarnation with conscious, not with regression or hypnosis, under present situation, how they remember spontaneously reincarnation. They talked about difference between living person and robot, how camera by judges. Judge will judge something with the emotions. Camera can only record, but not have any emotions. We talked three major differences between living and a body, living body and a robot. Three differences we discussed about. Then we say that a living being has 6 transformations in life: birth, growth, maintenance, and byproducts, dwindles, and die. So this difference living man, person, and a robot. And then we talked about the mechanism of mind, how the mind works. Gross body, subtle body, and soul. We talked about how we have 3 bodies. Soul has its own body called Surup. Then there's a Sukma body, a subtle body made of mind, intelligence, false ego. Then there's a gross body with earth, water, air, ether, fire, which you can see. Then there's the mind, intelligence, and false ego, with the chariot analogy. So we discussed how the mind is compared to the, so how the mind and intelligence false ego, how they are interrelated. Then discuss about control versus uncontrolled mind. GIGO principle. GIGO, that means whatever goes in comes out. So mind does not create anything of its own. The mind, whatever information we put in the mind, that information will come out from the mind. If good goes in, good comes out. If bad goes in, bad comes out. And the intelligence will be involved just to make a decision what we should do. Then talked about practical benefit of knowledge of soul. If you know about the soul, what benefit we get? Universal brotherhood. We will be able to live very peacefully, happily amongst ourselves. Then raising above inferiority complex. So we got a lot of inferiority complexity we have. So once you know about the soul, we'll be able to rise above the inferiority complex. Then positive outlook and attitude to life. So we'll also develop positive attitude to life and outlook also. And then also we'll be able to use our resource. If we know who we are, then what resource we have around us, we'll be able to know how to use it properly. So now I'll end here. So maybe, have you got any questions? Now time is 6:23. Maybe about 10 minutes we can give to questions. Have you typed? Have you typed in the chat box? So there is no question. It's okay. What the one question was there? You read. So thank you very much. So I will end here. So please, next weekend is another 3 sessions will be there. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.